call doesn't get recorded. So I'm going to press record really quick. So this is our first team call of 2022, which is insane. If you're feeling overwhelmed today, if you're feeling like, oh my goodness, I have so much to do, take a deep breath. I was feeling that earlier. I literally had a cry session. I texted some of the business builders and I immediately just like deleted Instagram. I was like, okay, I'm not ready to come back yet. I got to get my life together. So if you're like me and you still feel like you don't have all the ducks in a row and you're not ready for this new year, it's okay. You can just press pause and come back when you're ready. But tonight is going to be so good, and I'm so excited just to chat with Michelle. But like I said, before we get started, I'm just going to go through a few things, and then I'll introduce Michelle, and we'll kind of dive into the meat of tonight's call. So I wanted to take a second. Obviously, this isn't our final leaderboard for the month. We had girls who were seriously working up until the last day, just following up with people and getting people plugged in with job one. So this isn't our final board for the month, but I will share that as soon as we get those all those final numbers in the next few days. But I just wanted to say a huge shout out to all of you for all of your hard work that you have put in. I just realized that the picture here says Lauren Burns as Brittany Ritter. It's two photos. I just wanted to say, your hard work does not go unnoticed. It's so cool just to see how you guys have shown up and served people and met them where they are this month within obviously the Changing Lives Club, but then obviously with team volume and just getting people plugged in with whatever it is that they need, whether that is a month of Beachbody on demand or a year or a challenge pack or whatever. I'm super excited about this new program that we just launched today, our challenge group today, and just getting this all going with you guys. So I'm just so stinking proud of you guys, and thank you so much for all your hard work. It's just so cool to see the compounding that's happening on our team. So and then I just wanted to quickly remind you guys of everything we have happening this month on our team. So over to the left are our action hours this month. So if you're new here, we have 2 action hours a week. We try to make those times that, are kind of available for everybody. We try to have 1 a week that is for women who maybe work, and then 1 a week for women who are maybe at home working during nap time or something like that. So you'll see that kind of reflected over here on the left. I did move my action hour for today to later this week. So you can check the what's happening this week post in the team page to kind of, so you can make sure that you have all those dates correct. But as you guys can see, we had our team-wide challenge group for job one kickoff today, which if you haven't done these workouts, they're so good. I love this program. I really, truly do. And it's a very different pace from Transform 20. So if you're thinking 20 minutes, oh, similar to Transform 20, no, it is so different in a good way. I love it. It's really, really good. So check it out. If you wanted to jump into the challenge group, go to my post today that I did in the team page and join. We would love to have you. And then just a reminder that this Saturday, we're going to be kicking off our Sip and Sweats for the month. And we're going to actually be walking through the She Works This Way book. So that's why I'm excited to have Michelle on tonight to kind of talk about that a little bit. But make sure that you come prepared on Saturday and have read the first 3 chapters. We'll basically be reading 3 chapters a week, and then we'll be discussing those. So 6:30 on Saturday morning, 30 minutes. We'll do our kind of going over the book. I recommend highlighting things and writing notes beside things, and that way when you show up, we can take it kind of like chapter by chapter, and you guys, feel prepared to be like, oh, let me share my takeaways, especially if maybe you're already on chapter 6 and you can't really remember what you took away from chapter 2, or even keep like a journal or a notebook so that way you can kind of just go through each, and you can, share your takeaways that way. So we will be doing that this Saturday. Make sure that you also just invite your clients. I know I've heard people say, well, I don't work. I'm not in the workforce. It doesn't matter. If you have anything that you are stewarding, you're working. And so whether that is a voluntary position, whether that is that you're a mom, whether that is that you're a wife, whatever, whether that is, just something you do every couple of weeks, whatever, ministry wise, you're a working woman. And so this book, you're going to get something out of it. So encourage your girls to be on as well, because it's really, really good and a great way to kick off the new year as well. So that is happening this weekend, so make sure you guys mark your calendars for that. And so without further ado, I want to go ahead and dive into tonight's call. And I'm so excited to have Michelle on. So I'm going to introduce Michelle to you guys really quick. A lot of people don't know this, but Michelle is actually my upline within Beachbody, especially now. I feel like people don't even really realize that she was ever a Beachbody coach or that she is a Beachbody coach. And so when I tell people, they're like, wait, what? I just thought you were friends with her through She Works His Way. And I'm like, well, yeah, now I am. But it started out that she was my coach and she is still my coach. But just some fun facts about Michelle. She has been married to James for 13 and a half years and they're amazing. Brian and I just love them. They're the real deal. If you're like, ever wonder about people and you're like, oh, I see them on Instagram, I wonder if they're really like that in person. They totally are. So she is a mom of 3 and they live in Asheville, North Carolina. Michelle is a pastor's wife and she's actually been to seminary herself as well and has a degree in, I believe, women's ministry. And she has been a Beachbody coach for 13 years, y'all. Like, you guys think I've been around for a while. Michelle has been a coach for 13 years. She is a lifetime 12-star diamond. And she is the founder of She Works His Way. And obviously the co-author of this book that we're going to be reading for our Sip and Sweat. And she founded She Works His Way 7 years ago. And I'll let her tell a little bit about that story. But Michelle, are you there? I'm so glad you're on.
Hi, friend.
Hello.
How are you? Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, good.
I love it.
Oh.
Have you redone your office? It looks so good. I love it.
A little bit ago. I don't know. I feel like I'm always moving stuff around in here.
It looks so good.
Thank you.
It looks so good. Well, we're so excited to have you on tonight. I know everybody is super pumped. They're like, we were chatting earlier today and they're like, I'm so excited about tonight's team call. So I know they're so excited to hear from you. But yeah, so I kind of introduced you already, but anything else that you would like to kind of add to that? I mean, you've been with Beachbody for a really long time.
You guys, when I started with Beachbody, they had just made the transition to starting to have DVDs instead of VHS tapes. That is how long I have been with Beachbody. And so it was a big deal because if you think about it, everybody kind of works out in the space where you downgrade your stuff, you get new things. And so people were moving their VCRs to the garage or to the bonus room, and that's where they were working out. And DVD players were old enough at that point that people were starting to get rid of VHS. And so getting rid of VHS tapes, it was just as big of a deal. If you remember the switch when we went digital, it was just as big of a deal to switch to DVDs. And so I have seen the company go through so many transitions. And here's what I need you to know. I have never been more excited about the future of Team Beachbody than I am right now. The innovation that they have done, the bikes, Bot Interactive, just the options. And so I'm going to put my Beachbody coach hat on for a second, because whenever change comes, people tend to freak out. Okay. What change does when we are adding things that are new is it requires you to learn new things in the interim. Yes. But it provides you more opportunity to get more yeses in the future because you have more tools in your toolbox and things that you can offer people. That say, I want live workouts, I got you. People who say, I want a bike, I got you. People who say, I want to do a full program, start to finish, I got you. People who say, I just want to do this one program, I got you. People that say, I get bored doing that, I got you. People that just want help in nutrition, I got you. People that have their nutrition and just want fitness, I got you. And so it is such a big deal that our library is growing and that there are so many SKUs that you have that enable you to be able to help people. And so I'm going to encourage you, get to know all of the products that you have available. Make it a goal. If you're a newer coach, first of all, welcome. You're on a great team. But if you are newer, make it your goal to learn about a new product every day. To where if you're like, I don't really know what Energize is, find out. I don't really know what Power Greens are, find out. Like, dig in, look at it, learn who it's for. I always made it a goal myself to earn enough commission to where I could try a new product every month myself. Because when I could talk about it from my experience, then I wasn't selling anymore. I was just simply telling people what had worked for me. Also, side note, I also got to tell people what I didn't like. Because I'll tell you this, Fruit Punch Energize, I am on board. Love it. Mixed berry, thumbs down for me. Okay. Not a fan. I don't like it at all. I think it's terrible. And so when it came out, I tried it. And do you know what I did? I went back to Fruit Punch the next month and I was so excited. It was the longest 30 days of my life. But do you know what people thought when I told them that? They were like, oh, she's actually going to tell me the truth if she likes something. I like a lot of our programs. There's also a lot of programs that I'm like, not for me. Not going to do it. Okay. Country Heat. Okay. That one came out. I'm from the South. Okay. I'm from the South. When people were like, country music line dancing, this is so fun. This is so whatever. I'm like, no, it's Friday night growing up. This is not cute. This is not fun. Other people though, thought it was awesome. Thought it was great. Do you know that even though I didn't like the program, I had a girl that was like, I would try to talk people out of it when they wanted to do it. But if it was something that they thought was fun, I could match them for it. Because again, why? Because I got you. And so you have such a big product library between all of the workouts, all the nutrition products, the equipment. I mean, you guys we can make commission on apparel now. So we have so many options for you to be able to, even if you're like, I'm really shy, I don't know how I feel about leading a team. Do you know that just because of the addition of the bike and Body and Beachbody On Demand, we finally have a full enough library to where you could make a full-time income just on commission. It would take a lot of work, but you could. And so be encouraged, be excited. I truly believe that Beachbody's best days are ahead. And that is my State of the Union for where we are.
I love it. Thank you, Michelle. No, it's so good. And I think it's good. It sounds weird to say, but like, it's good to hear you say that, because I think some people look at you and they're like, oh, well, like, she doesn't really do Beachbody anymore. Maybe she doesn't believe in the mission, or maybe she doesn't think they have like things that, I don't know, like good offerings, or maybe she doesn't think it's possible. And I mean, we talked about this at lunch, but like,
let me be clear. I do still do Beachbody. What
yes,
I don't
you do
is I do not market Beachbody publicly, because marketing is a full-time job. I feel called to market the mission of She Works His Way, and I do that online. But in the last 5 years, I have not posted once publicly about Beachbody on my social media, and I have missed Success Club once. So
mic drop.
I still very much work Beachbody. And even if you're like, I'm shy, I don't want to be on social media, don't. You can do it all face-to-face through referrals. Now, that's the other thing. I'm face-to-face, but I also have got 13 years of customer base that make referrals for me, because am I the best coach? No. Do I have the best abs and the best body? And am I spot on nutrition? And can I make all of the recipes? No. But I do what I say I'll do. And so when I tell people I'm going to hold you accountable, or I'm going to text you at this time, or I do that. And if you will commit to do what you say that you will do, and if you will make it your job to be the best part of what people pay for that they didn't pay for. They paid for a product, your bonus. But if you make it to where you encourage them and you make it worth it, then they will tell other people about you. Because this is, okay, I'm going to get a little not sassy. I don't know what the word is. I'm going to let y'all fill it in. Honest here. People do not tell other people about what they expect or what is mediocre. They just don't. And so people will share with their friends when it was better than what they expected or when someone went above and beyond. And so if you want to have customer referrals, you can't merely do what you said that you would do. You have to exceed their expectations. Okay.
I love that. I think that's so true. Like it makes me think too, Michelle, just of the importance of like setting low expectations with people so that you can, I mean, like not like rudely low, but you know, to where the point.
Undersell
Yeah.
and over deliver.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, I had one experience one time with a company and I ended up canceling my partnership with them after 6 months. And to cancel your partnership with that company, you had to have a conversation with the CEO. And as a business owner, I hated telling them this. But what I had to say was the best part of working with you guys was the recruiting process. And after that, it was downhill from there. The best part of what you did was what you promised that you would do. And then over the 6 months, I never saw any of the things that you promised come to fruition. And I was like, I'm a business owner and I cannot imagine what hearing that has to sound like. I'm so sorry, but I would want someone to tell me. And so think through that when you are talking to people. I know that you're excited to make a sale, but in the excitement to make a sale, don't say, I'm going to text you 7 times a day and I'm going to come over to your house and I'm going to wake you up and knock on your door. Okay. I don't think any of you are going to do that, but you get what I mean. Like, tell them what you were going to do, but don't try to like nosedive into these crazy expectations that are going to make them go, oh, she's basically going to do this for me. Doesn't work that way. I mean, and people will actually rise to the challenge when you tell them something like, the last part of the sales process for me is I try to talk people out of it. Whether I'm trying to talk them out of buying a product or I'm trying to talk them out of signing up to be a coach, I try to talk them out of it. Because if I can try to talk them out of it and it works, then they would have quit anyway. And so I will say something like, let's say I'm talking to somebody about the business. And I'm like, okay, talk to me about what is your biggest insecurity of saying yes and doing this? I'm just worried about what my friends are going to think. Oh, your friends are going to think that you're in a scam. Your friends are absolutely going to think that this is a pyramid scheme and that you have signed your life over. That it's probably going to happen. I need you to know that people are probably going to make fun of you. Do you know when they'll stop? After you've been doing this for a year and after you have a healthy outlook and perspective on your life, and you are still talking about the same things that you're talking about. They see your friends, they see your positive attitude, they see your excitement still. It's probably going to take that long, but yeah, that is probably going to happen. And usually when people hear, okay, people are gonna, okay, somebody, like, you kind of confirm that what they think might happen probably will. And when they hear you talk about it in a way that says, yeah, that probably will handle it, and you'll be able to handle it too, then all of a sudden it's not scary or surprising when it happens. They're like, she told me that was going to happen and I'm prepared for it now. So when you are honest with people, even about like the product, where you can say, hey, listen, the next part after we hit buy here, the next thing that happens is a lot harder because you actually have to do this work and you have to complete this program. And it's going to take you 60 days. And there's probably going to be a couple of times that you're going to want to quit. But I promise you it's going to be worth it. And I promise you I'm going to be here for you every step of the way. Those things are the kind of things that prepare them that the next step is going to take work. But they're going to be excited and they're going to be grateful that you're there beside them.
So good and so true. Michelle, it kind of, one of the things that you said kind of reminded me of something in the book. And obviously, and I loved how you guys addressed in the book, you guys will get to this if you haven't read it, but just the different personalities, because there are different, like we all kind of had different bends. But I feel like across the board, as women, Christian women who want to do business God's way, specifically this business God's way, we kind of can feel like kind of twofold, like we're never doing enough. Like we set such high expectations for ourselves because we know we're a reflection of Jesus. And so that's a lot of pressure. Like, like I don't want someone to become a client of mine and expect for me to do all these things and then walk away and be like, well, she said that she was a believer and she was, you know what I mean? Like I want them to have just such an amazing experience. But on the flip side, we also are all limited people, and we can't do everything and we can't jump across the screen and make someone do the workouts, no matter what we do. So how did you in this business through the years kind of find like, I don't want to say happy place in that necessarily, but like a piece with like what you were offering and knowing that it was enough,
I mean, I think kind of what we just talked about was one of them, of making sure that my goal was always to under promise and to over deliver. And so I didn't say like, you're going to hear from me this many times a week. I would say things like, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to support you. And then as they entered into the program and as we went along, they learned that I did check on them individually every Friday. I did share something in the morning every single day. I did post about their faith life. I did post about nutrition. I did post about the workout. Like they learned all of those specific things as we went along. They did learn that I would pair them up every week with one other person in the group, one-on-one, in addition to having the full group for support, so that you had somebody that you were directly contacting and talking about, hey, did you do a workout today? Some days I would do a challenge where it would be like, hey, there's a prize for the first partner of every workout or of every group who does the workout first. And so I'd be like, if you're an East Coast, like, man, you get a leg up. But I would just do like fun things. I didn't tell them all of those things in the beginning. But I think this is the beauty of, we talk about like being a product of the product, is I just had to think through, okay, the person that I'm reaching, that I'm talking to is me. And so what do I need? And what do I want? But then also when I reached out to everybody individually, I would always ask in the group, like, hey, what's one thing that was really helpful this week? Or what's one thing that wasn't really helpful this week that we did in the group? And I would kind of figure, because y'all know every group is a little bit different, right? Like sometimes they're bigger, sometimes they're smaller, sometimes they're really chatty, and sometimes you're like, please talk to me. Okay. And so trying to figure out the dynamics of every group is really, really stressful unless you ask them. And if you ask them what's working, what's not working, then you can get there faster in terms of what that particular group needs. And so I always tell people, I think one of the biggest things that I always walked away from is knowing that every week that people were in my group, they had an opportunity to provide feedback to me individually. And it wasn't just me waiting on them to give me the feedback, but I initiated a conversation with them and asked for their feedback. And so, and I would consistently remind people that I'm not a mind reader. And so if you have not told me something I don't know, please tell me. Please tell me what's going on. I want to help you, but if you don't tell me, I can't know. I would also talk about how there's awesome pieces of being able to do this virtually, but there's also a hard piece to it because I can't see you. I can't hear your expressions. I can't hear your tone. I can't see I can't see any of those things. And so like, if you stop communicating with me, I have no way of knowing. And so I would say all of those things up front, and I would say them on repeat, because if you wait until the group is quiet to talk about stuff, then people that are quiet feel called out. And I don't know about you, but I'm stubborn. And if somebody tells me like, hey, I need you to talk to me, that makes me want to talk even less. And I feel like a lot of people feel that way. And so if you will share those things in the beginning, then it's not making an example of anybody, because when you're talking about some of these harder and uncomfortable things, they're hypothetical at the beginning. They haven't happened yet. And so anytime that anybody would say something to me later, or I'd find out that somebody felt like they got left out, or they did this or they did that, I would still apologize, but I would say, I'm so sorry. Like, I reached out every week. I really did try. I promise that I did. I'm sorry if that wasn't enough. But like in my mind, what I could rest with is that I did. And then also too, one of the other things I did at the beginning of groups is I would ask them, what's the best way for me to contact you? And anytime that I would initiate feedback and want feedback, I would contact them the way that they asked me to contact them. And so if they said, text me, if they said, Facebook message me, if they said, send me a DM on Instagram, if they said, text me, if they said, email me, I did whatever mode of communication they requested. And so I wasn't just doing a mass message to everybody in the way that was most convenient to me. I was communicating with them in the way that they communicated with me was the most convenient for them personally.
Michelle, you said something, and you talk about this a lot in the book and just within She Works His Way in general, but just this idea of like really working hard but surrendering the results.
Mm-hmm.
What did that look like for you through the years and even now within your Beachbody business? I would say especially those first few years, just because you know you've got little ones, and a lot of people on our team do have little ones, and they're in a season of trying to figure out like what that looks like, and you know, struggling with mom guilt and all the things. So what did that kind of look like for you, like realistically? Because I think sometimes it's like, you know, you reread something, but it's like trying to apply it to your own business. Like, what did that look like for you?
So I think I always said at the end of the day, my goal for my Beachbody business has never changed. And it was to help as many people as I possibly could without expecting anything in return. And that is something that I repeated to myself over and over and over again. And sometimes by not expecting anything in return, that literally meant that I would spend time with people helping them, and I got nothing in return. But it's funny because some of those conversations that I didn't get any commission for, or they're some of the ones that I think about that I'm like, man, sometimes just people need a catalyst. They need somebody to talk to. They need somebody to listen. They need somebody to tell them that it's possible. I remember one girl, I used to do these, they were 15-minute free phone consultations. And it was just getting people on a phone, and in 15 minutes, they could rapid fire ask me as many things as they wanted to as possible. This girl had a chip on her shoulder from like the second that we got on the phone, like to the point where I was like, do you like me? Why are we talking? But she just said, I'm not spending any money. I have no money. She was like, so she said, I can't spend anything. I can't do anything. But she said, I'm miserable. And she was like, I need something to change. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I was like, I said, tell me a little bit just about your habits. And in turn, found out this girl worked a desk job all day, slept and hit the snooze button, basically rolled out of bed and went to work, and then would come home, usually would work through her lunch. So she was starving. And so she would sit down with a bag of chips immediately after getting home from work, go through the entire bag, then make dinner, then have dessert, because she really had not eaten anything all day. And I was like, okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to, I had her go get I was like, just get a convenience meal at the grocery store. Like if you could pick up a salad, a sandwich, like even a kid's Lunchable, I don't care. Get something in you, and then eat a banana in your car on the way to work. So she ate a banana in the car, a convenience meal. And then I said, then when you get home from work, put on walking shoes and walk during the commercials and choose carrots instead of chips. Like that was the only advice that I gave her. And she sent me a message like 2 weeks later and was like, I've lost 4 pounds. And I was like, that's amazing. She never contacted me again. We never did. But again, like what that did for me is it just kept me encouraged that there are people out there that need help. And regardless of what came from that, I hope that her life continued, and who knows what she would do in the future that would evolve a little bit more. But I think practically, you will get distracted if you are trying to control the results of your business. And it will usually, if results become a focus, then purpose gets lost. And it will make it to where you are conflicted because what you say you exist to do isn't actually what you're working for. And so then the belief that you have in the work that you're doing becomes less and less. And people can sense that from you when your confidence in what you offer isn't what it once was or what you'd like for it to be. They can tell when that's not genuine. And so strip every piece of selfish ambition from you every day. Get up, serve people well, offer people what you can, and leave the results up to God. And if you will do that every day, I promise you, like, some will, some won't, but some will. And if you are focused on the right things, then even the ones who don't, they won't destroy you. They won't distract you. They won't discourage you, because the goal in you showing up is to help people, not to produce some result for yourself. And that is a practice. It is a practice. And it is something that you will have to, like, it'll be like putting your shoes on, like zipping up your fly. Like, it's the thing that you have to do every day, sometimes multiple times a day.
I love that. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat box too. I meant to say that at the first, because we really want to make sure we're answering y'all's questions. And I know we all have different struggles and different things we're kind of headed into the year with. So a lot of girls on the team have been reading the Godly Goals devotional, which is just so good. And we're even sharing the devos in our fit community groups this month. So like 3 times a week. So as we really think about, obviously some people have already started to set their goals for the year, but then some are still working on those. What would be kind of like your piece of advice? And I guess we kind of talked about this a little bit, but like, what would you say for the girl who's kind of setting specific goals in their business, like of wanting to recruit a certain amount of people? Again, this is where, for me, I have to set big goals, because like I'll get lazy if I hit my goal and it's low. I'll like be like, all right, cool, I'll sit back for the rest of the month, So I have to kind of push harder. And then, because it doesn't bother me if I don't hit my goals. But for some people, it's like they don't hit it and they want to quit tomorrow. You know what I mean? So everyone's a little different in that. But what would be kind of just a word of encouragement for them or advice?
Okay. I've never set results-driven goals for my business ever. And I'm not saying that if you do that, that's terrible. Again, personalities and everybody is different. And so I'm not being judgmental or anything. What I've always done is I set activity goals for myself of, these are the hours that I will work. These are the actions that I will take. These are the practices that I will do. And the results that happen within those windows, like they're the ones that I'm going to trust. And as my business grew, I think the actions and the activities slightly had to change, just because as your rank grows, you have more levels of people underneath you. You have new customers, you have existing customers, you have people that are considering being coaches, you have people that are beginner coaches, you have people that are starting to build a team themselves, you have people who have already built a team, you have leaders. So like, you have all of these different people that you are investing in, that you have to diversify your actions and your activities. But still, it can always be, these are the times that I'm going to show up. And when I show up, these are the things that I'm going to do, because these are the activities that I know that move my business down the road, and understanding that this month's work usually shows up in future months' results. And so it's a matter of staying consistent, even when you feel like this is a really hard month. This is a really dry month. I mean, like December, anybody? Okay. Yes. Okay. Yes. I feel you. January, they're all coming back. But December is like statistically usually a really difficult month, just because people are so busy and so focused and they're not thinking that way. And so the temptation can be not to show up at all. But the truth is, if you continue to show up in December, those are the people that come back to you in January because they're ready in January, but they weren't ready in December. And so it's just a matter of showing up and making those commitments to yourself and doing the unseen things that nobody sees. Results are what people see. The work that gets results is the stuff that no one sees, which is why a lot of times it's easy to skip because nobody knows it. But if you are tracking those things, then you know when you do them, you know when you don't. And I've never missed a mark that I would have needed by setting goals that were based on the activity and the amount of time that I would show up. And so if you are struggling with results goals, then look at your schedule, look at your time, ask yourself, when can you show up? And then when you show up during those hours, what will you accomplish? And rank the things that are the most important and put the things that are the most uncomfortable first and put a time limit to them. Anybody remember the first time that they went to the grocery store with multiple children? Okay. Just me? Okay. I have nightmares about it. The first time that I went to the grocery store with 3 kids, I was like, what just happened in my life? Because I had 2 that were old enough to walk. I had 1 that was in the cart, but could still get out. But I had 2 that were old enough to walk and like throw things in the buggy. I was like, we are over budget. We are over time. Mom is overstressed. Because you got to remember, I had to do this before grocery pickup, you guys. Now this doesn't have to happen to anyone else. I would like to think that someone that was in my season of life invented grocery pickup. And I pray that she has never had to enter a grocery store ever since. But anyway, I was like, I got in the car and I was like, what are we going to do so that that never happens again? Because not going to the grocery store with my kids wasn't an option at that point. It is now, but it wasn't an option at that point. And so I said, okay, we're going to have to make this a game. We're going to have to make this a game. And so I had to get my boys, I had to get their competitive edge in it. And I was like, okay, guys, we have $150. We have to get a week's worth of groceries and we have to be out of this store in 25 minutes. Can we do it? And of course, my boys were we were in and out in 17 minutes the first time I did that. I think we spent $99. Nobody touched anything. It was amazing. You need to do the same thing with yourself for your business. If you are like, I despise getting on Instagram stories more than anything. Get up, get dressed, get in your office, get on Instagram stories first. Boom, done. And you know what? You can't sit there and perfect it 9 million times. You know what you get? 3 minutes. 3 minutes. And when it's 3 minutes, you have to mark it as done. So you have to leave it up. Post it. It's done. It's up. Do you know how you get better at Instagram stories? Doing Instagram stories. And doing Instagram stories that never get posted, that's not practice. Sometime for fun, Google my YouTube channel. Go watch my YouTube videos from like 2008. We are in our first house where we were married, had 70s wood paneling behind me. I don't know how to look at the camera. I don't know. It's fuzzy. It's terrible. They're terrible. Terrible. I don't know what I said. I don't know why anybody listened to me. I go back and I look at those and I'm like, I grew a business. Wow. Okay. It doesn't make any sense. The only way that I got better was with practice. And so show up, practice the things, give yourself a realistic to-do list, put a time limit on stuff, and move through your list. You can do it.
I love that. My favorite part that you talked about in this was just like showing up, working, doing the daily activities, but just trusting God with the results. Because I think I was even talking to someone today who was like, oh, I could never like lead a team. Like that scares me. And I'm like, do you guys think I like got into this and was like, I want to have all these people on my team? Like there's every day I'm like, how did this happen? Like I look back at my videos and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't even know why people join me, but whatever. So, it's all God. He's like, all right, I'm
That's
going to
right.
use you as a vessel. So,
That's right.
um, I love that. Well, does anybody we've got like 15 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions that they wanted Michelle to tackle before we hop off? You can unmute yourself or drop it in the chat box. I just want to make sure we get to your questions. Several people said that they've already started the book and they're loving it. So,
Oh, I'm so glad.
I have a question about this is like the consultation thing you did. Did that actually go well? Like I'm just curious. I have people
Yes.
who've started like their free communities because they don't like they make their own free option, whatever, of encouragement. But yeah, tell me how that actually played out and how long you did it for, if you did it like once every few months or whatever.
So I had an Asana calendar where they could sign up, and they were 15-minute slots. And so they knew that they had 15 minutes, and I would start the conversation by saying, I know that your time is valuable. So we've got 15 minutes. I want to make sure that we get to if you had one objective, what's the one thing that you'd like for us to accomplish today? So that way we would like dive in to what they wanted to talk about. But I think that social media it can be really noisy, and it was noisy then, and it's just noisier now. And I feel like for the person that actually does want to connect with a person, I found that the people that would sign up for a 15-minute call, I know that I gave the story of the one girl that I didn't even think liked me, but there were a lot of people that were like, I could tell when they got on the phone, like they were ready. And by the end of the 15 minutes, a lot of times, like they were buying their challenge pack on the phone with me right there. And so I think that it's a great way to be able to connect with someone and to go from being a talking head on social media to a real person. And when you get to on the phone with somebody, it's not scripted. Like the care that you have is genuine. They see that, they can hear how you can respond. And I'll just go ahead and tell you, yeah, it was bumpy and it was rocky the first couple of times that I did it. And there were times when people would ask me a question, I'd be like, you know what? I really don't know the answer to that one. So tell you what, if that's really what you want to know, I need to hang up right now and I need you to book another call. I'm going to do some research and then I'll get back with you and we'll talk about that. Because sometimes they would ask about things. And if they were asking me about something that I didn't pretend to have a fitness or a nutrition certification or anything like that. Sometimes I would say, hey, listen, I don't know about that. This is what I do know. And I would just talk honestly. But I think that it's a lot easier to connect because, again, we talk about it all the time about how this is a relationship business. It's not a fitness business. And I think it's a lot easier to build a relationship over conversation versus like interrupted messaging. And so I found that it expedited things and it allowed me to not have so much back and forth. And once you could get somebody on the phone and you had one person sign up, then that created a little bit of momentum and you could talk about that on your social media feeds to get some more calls. But I don't know that it would work for everybody. And I probably didn't help. I did have people call that were shy or that would get on the phone. I mean, literally, I remember some people being like, I cannot believe I'm doing this right now. I don't do this. I don't talk to people that I don't know. And I'm like, well, I feel so special, but I loved it because I don't like the awkward back and forth messaging, like, because it makes how a first date feels on the first 15 minutes. Oh, sometimes that can go on for weeks in back and forth messaging. And I'm like, can we just have a conversation? So I think that if you're up for it and if you like talking to people, then I say go for it. How did I market those calls? Literally free 15-minute fitness consultation. That's how I marketed it. And just, we can talk about fitness. We can talk about what's working, what's not working. And I'll give you some advice or my opinion or share some tips with you. But that was what I called it. Trying to see if I got questions. I find when I try to ask questions, not trying to sell anything, but gain understanding, people think I just want to sell things and don't engage or want to talk. Some people probably will, but some won't. And you have to do this consistently. When I started doing my free fitness consultations, I had been showing up on social media and on my blog for about 2.5 years. And so I felt like I had a little bit of a track record to go off of. And again, if people wanted to say that, then I'd be like, I'm so sorry you feel that way. Let me know if you ever want to chat in the future, and move on.
I love that. And you could even put it like in your link tree and kind of have it always there as an option too, just for, people who are browsing around looking for what you have to offer. So I think that's a great idea. Anybody else have any questions before we kind of wrap things up tonight? Anybody? Well, Michelle, anything else that you wanted to touch on or mention?
Man, I'm just excited. I'm excited that you guys are digging into the book and looking at godly goals. And I think the fun part for me and the sweet part for me when I find out that Beachbody people are reading the book is I feel like so many of the chapters are outlined of things that I learned in the trenches building my Beachbody business. They are things that I taught to my team first. I mean, Caroline, you probably feel like you're going back and forth, back in time and reading things. And so it's really special, maybe not for you guys to be able to see that, but so many of the things that I feel like God showed me were through building a Beachbody business. And the beautiful thing that we have to offer here as coaches is just probably what we've spent the last 10 minutes talking about, which are relationships and just loving people really well. Do not fool yourself into believing that the success of your business depends on how many pounds people lose or how good they look in their clothes or how much they learn about nutrition. Those are all tools to simply be able to get into somebody's life, to be able to love them really, really well. Mm-hmm. And the thing about fitness and nutrition is it's not a fad and it's not going away. It's something that people need. It's not just a want or a luxury. It is something that people need, and it's something that people need daily. And so it just lends itself to you being able to love with frequency and with consistency. And so I think that that is why I have stayed in the business for so long, is because like the need that I have for it has not gone away. How I work it has changed and evolved, but my personal need for it, my personal passion for it, and just being able to see it as a consistent and persistent tool to be able to be in people's lives, to love them really well, that has never changed. And so love people really well in 2022. Love your team really well. Love your customers really well. Love your followers on social media really well. Love the people in your life really well. Love your family really well. Love the people who make fun of you really well. Love the people that don't act like they like anything that you're doing really well. Love them all really, really, really well. Because when you are loved by God and you in turn push that love out into the world. Like, it is such a sweet and satisfying feeling, because it's not a love that you are forcing, but it is a love that is flowing from God through you. It doesn't feel like effort. It feels like an extension of the work that God is doing in the world. And so I'm going to talk to two different people real quick. Number one, if you are here and you are like, I am new to this, and this is scary, and I feel like I am heading into new territory, and I'm just not sure what's ahead. I don't even know why I'm here. I don't know why I said yes. Then I want you to remember that wherever you go this year, God is already at work there. You are not going to meet a person that God is not already working in, because they are his kid first. And so any person that you meet, any task that you do, God is already at work there, and you are simply joining him. The pressure is off of you. You are not creating that work. God is already doing it, and you simply say, hey, tag me in, coach. I want to go love on some people. You are joining him. Then we talk to the other extreme, to where you're like, I'm tired. I've been here for a while. I'm wondering if I'm still supposed to be here. I kind of am hungering for something new, and I'm not sure if that exists here anymore. Remember, God is always doing a new thing. He makes all things new. And so you doing something new does not have anything to do with your task changing, your city changing, your job changing, your activities that you do on a regular basis changing. You being made new has to do with the fact that God makes all things new, and he is in the business of doing that, and he will never stop. And so doing something new can be done through the same old thing, because God does new things and he makes old things new. And so I'm not saying that nobody ever transitions, but I am telling you that if you still feel called here, and there's a tension that you feel, and you want that new thing that you want is probably not a new activity, a new job, or a new whatever. You need a new touch from the Lord. And so beg him and ask him to show up in your life and to show you something new that he can do in you. Because when he does something new in you, then he'll do something new through you.
Man, woo! That last little part for me, that was good. Love God and love others is really what it all comes back to. Michelle, thank you so much for taking tonight just to be here with us, pour into us. We are your biggest cheerleaders, and we love you, and we're so thankful for you, and thankful for how you paved the way in so many ways. People will message me and be like, oh, I want a team like yours. Da, 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 da. I'm like, go make it happen.
Yeah.
Like, and I always am like, hey, Michelle Myers, she came before me, like, so I just, I don't know. Thank you for all that you do. And even though, I know you probably are like, well, I'm not like, in it as much as I used to be as far as forward facing. Obviously you are behind the scenes, but I just want to say thank you from all of us, because we would not all be here if it wasn't for you. So, and I mean that. Well, I want to pray for you really quick, and then, and for all these ladies who are on tonight, and then we will wrap up. Thank you guys so much for being on tonight. And like I said, get your book. It's so stinking good. It's going to be so fun to dive in together. I know some people got like the workbook and stuff like that too. So grab your book, and I'm excited to dive into it on Saturday with you guys. Okay, Heavenly Father God, thank you so much for tonight, Lord. I just pray over every single one of these 29 women that are on right now, God. I just pray that whatever part of Michelle's message that you spoke through her tonight, I just pray that you would take that and you would just divide it 29 different ways, Lord. Whatever they needed to hear tonight, God, I just pray that they would leave encouraged, that they would just leave sharpened, that they would leave hungry just to dive into your word and lean into you, Lord, this year. God, would we not get so focused on these big goals, Lord, but really just those daily activities and the daily showing up and the daily being consistent and the daily loving you with all of our hearts and allowing that love to pour out of us and love other people, God. And I just pray that we would do that with excellence, Lord, that we would just do what we said we were going to do. God, just help us to be consistent and not get overwhelmed by all these marketing things and algorithms and niches and all of these things that we're having thrown at us constantly, God, but just focus on the fact that you are so much bigger than all of those things. And if we're doing what we are called to do and we're sharing what it is that you place on our heart, God, just trusting you that that's going to land in the right hands and with the right person. And so, God, I just pray that as we make ourselves available, that you would use us, give us a fresh joy, a fresh excitement, a fresh creativity, God, a fresh just message, Lord. Like Michelle said, just whatever it is, that new fresh thing that we need to see, God, give us the eyes to see it. I just pray that as we leave here tonight, that you would just give us the eyes to see the people this week, Lord, the people that we're called to love on, the people that you want us to reach out to, the people that we haven't talked to in a while and they need to hear from us, God, the people that we forgot to reach back out to, Lord, would you just bring them back to minds, Lord, those clients who are hurting and they're in a hard place and they might just need some encouragement. God, just bring them to mind this week, Lord, that we could just truly make an impact, Lord, for your kingdom and for the good of others, Lord. God, we love you so much. Thank you for Michelle. God, I just want to pray blessings over her and James and her family. God, just for Noah and Cole and Shay, and Lord, as they head back to school and they get back into the swing of things, God, I just pray over their ministry and their family, God, this next year. God, whatever it is that you're going to do, God, I just pray that you would work in and through them, Lord, in incredible ways, Lord. I just pray blessings over them and their family. And God, I just pray over these women that you would just do the same in their lives as well, God, as they head into this week, Lord, and back into rhythms and routines, God, that they would just keep their eyes fixed on you, Jesus. They wouldn't lose that focus that Christmas seems to bring and Advent season seems to bring, of just being so focused on the birth of your son. But God, we would just carry that love and joy into every single day, Lord, as we just share the truth of your word and point people to you ultimately, God. Lord, we love you so much. Thank you that fitness gets to be our witness. And I just pray that we would shine bright this week. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, friend.
Love you guys. I hope you have a great week. Thanks so much again for being on. And I will post the recording tomorrow morning. Bye, everyone.